there, everybody. I hope you are well. So we continue our journey into the investigation of the Gypsy Rose Blanchard case. We've been following it from the beginning right through till the trial now. So we were watching the trial yesterday, and that's not where we left off, is it? We did not leave off there. That's where we left off. So, yeah, we've been following the information, and yesterday we were watching them at the bus station. Now, hi, Karen. Now, to me, the pair of them just look like they're getting on with their day, and obviously when we start looking at the information, when sort of to where we get to where we are today, as we go through different things, then we are going to we're going to see how little remorse there actually is, and we get to learn. There's videos of Nick's like prison calls, and I've listened to one today, and just how he really truly thought he was helping Gypsy, and perhaps that's why here like he probably isn't showing remorse. But definitely at this point, this pair are just going about their day. And the other thing that I find really weird when I look at these types of things is knowing that these two did what they did, well, more so Nick, but that there's been a murder committed, and they're just going about their day and milling around with people. It really boggles my mind to think that, I could just be going about my day, and there could be an unaliver amongst us. Do you know what I mean? Like, because looking at those two, you wouldn't have ever thought that that's what's happened, and where they've just come from, and they're just there at the bus stop. That just play that sort of thing. I don't know about you guys, but I find I'm probably a bit weird like that, where I think like, oh my God, like nobody else knows, but this has happened, that's happened. Do you know what I mean? So we are going to continue. Let's get through the rest of this day, and then it'll roll into the next part. Is this all bus? Is this all bus station stuff? No, it's not all bus station stuff. But yeah, we get a good insight into the bus station. And we get to see as well that Gypsy is able to walk, no problems. She can carry her bag, no problems. But we know that she can do all of this because she told Nick that she has to pretend, and she's not pretending anymore, and she's always known that she can walk. But yeah. Which is a bit different, because if you were a victim of munchausen's by proxy, you'd actually believe that you couldn't walk, and you probably wouldn't be walking because your mum would have made sure that you weren't actually walking.
So
think about animals as well, or whatever, like, oh, I can't leave them there, they're on their own all night.
And safety exhibit 67 is that it's a still in the waiting line. We just watch the video. You familiar with the Facebook bag that was found in Waukesha County?
Yes.
Did you remove a phone from that bag?
I did.
An LG phone?
Yes.
There was the marked identification, States Exhibit 94. Do you recognize that?
Yes. The phone that came out of the Facebook bag, I think, the Gypsy Blanchard was carrying.
And is it substantially the same condition as when you took it out of the Facebook bag?
Yes.
Except that the battery's been removed now?
That is correct.
I moved to States Exhibit 94.
Any objection subject to the media contained thereon? So it'd be admitted subject to the media on every time.
Did you have an occasion to see the defendant when you were up in Waukesha County?
Yes.
And on his right hand, did he have any kind of injury on that hand?
He did.
What kind of injury did he have on his right hand?
There was a cut on his finger.
Which finger?
What I call the index finger.
The right index finger?
Correct.
Did you obtain any kind of sample from the defendant?
I did.
What kind of sample did you obtain from the defendant?
DNA sample
How did you obtain that?
through a search warrant.
And then how physically did you obtain it?
Made contact with him at the jail and a swab and some blood.
And did you have the opportunity to make contact with Gypsy Blanchard as well?
I did,
And did you obtain a similar swab of her DNA from her?
yes.
The issue has been marked identification states exhibit 178. Do you recognize that?
I do,
And it's got some blue lab tape at the bottom
correct,
and a lab sticker on the back.
correct,
Other than that, does it appear to be in substantially the same condition as when you packaged it?
yes.
And what is states exhibit 178?
It's a buccal swab from Cody County.
And so is that the DNA sample you took from the defendant?
That is correct.
I move to admit states exhibit 178.
Okay. Be received without objection.
Now looking at what's been marked as states exhibit 179 for identification. Do you recognize that?
I do,
And does it also have some blue lab tape at the bottom
yes,
and a lab sticker on the back?
yes,
Other than that, does it appear to be in substantially the same condition as when you packaged it?
yes.
And what is states exhibit 179?
It's a swab of Gypsy's cheek.
So the DNA sample you took from Gypsy Blanchard.
That is correct.
I move to admit states exhibit 179.
No objection. Be received without objection.
Are you familiar with the manila envelope that was found up in Waukesha, Wisconsin in the closet?
Yes,
And it was addressed as if it had been mailed there, is that correct?
that is correct.
Did you open that up in Wisconsin, or what did you do with that item up there
It wasn't open until we get his green county.
until you got here to Greene County?
Correct,
And so did you and another detective open that envelope?
yes.
Who was that you worked with on that?
At the time, it was Detective Jim Stanley.
I'm going to show you a series of photos in this binder. If you just look at them with me while I read off the numbers. 133, 134, 135, 136, 137, and 138, 139, and 140, 141. In general, do you recognize what's depicted in those photographs?
Yes.
In general, what is depicted in those photographs?
Packaging in an envelope that the knife and gloves were in.
Were you documenting removing the items from that mail envelope?
Yes,
And do these fairly and accurately depict that process?
yes, it does.
I'd move to admit states exhibits 131, 132, 133, 134, 135, 136, 137, 138, 139, 140, and 141.
No objection. That will be received without objection.
So looking at states exhibit 131, what are we looking at there?
This is Waukesha County's packaging that their evidence table is on the top of the package right there.
And then 132,
This is the back of what you just saw.
Alan Boss's initials.
That is correct in Waukesha County.
And on 133, is that just that label from the front turn so we can read it?
I'm sorry,
Is that just the label from the front of that package turn so we can read it?
correct.
134, what is that?
This is the envelope that we found in the bedroom and closet.
135.
That is the back of that same envelope that you just showed.
And was there another envelope inside of that?
There was,
Is that what we see here in 136?
that is correct.
And we're looking at here in 137.
This is the other side of that envelope with the handle of the knife and some gloves sticking out of the top corner.
We're looking at here in 138.
This is the knife and glove that was removed from that packaging of that previous picture.
139,
Same, just a different view.
140,
This is the glove and the handle, close up of the handle.
141.
And this is the knife with the scale.
Did you repackage the gloves and the knife?
Yes.
I'm going to show you what's been marked for identification. It states Exhibit 144. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
What is Exhibit 144?
This is a packaging that we repackage everything in after we photographed it via the detective statement.
You mean everything? You mean the gloves?
Yes, sorry, the gloves. Correct.
And they've been since removed from the paper bag and put in a Ziploc bag so they're easier to view. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Are these gloves in substantially the same condition as they were when you repackaged them?
Yes,
Now, in the picture, they're kind of together, right?
that is correct.
And they've been separated here.
Correct.
I move to States Exhibit 144.
Okay. We received without objection.
So there's one glove that's laid out flat here. As I look at it, does it have any kind of cut on any of the fingers?
Yes,
Which finger?
the index finger.
May I have the witness step down with me to the document camera?
Yes.
You put some gloves. There's some scissors sitting there too. Just carefully cut the end there so we can take that glove out. Now, if you would take the glove out, I got some paper here in the document, and would you set it on there? And we'll see if we can see that. We may have to have you walk in front of the jury, but if we can show it on the camera, we will. All right, so this would be the thumb of the glove here, correct?
That is correct.
And then this would be the index finger in the glove?
Yes.
That's not good. Let's see this here. All right, it's not very visible on the camera. May I have the detective walk along the rail
Yes.
and hold the glove? And hold it on one of these pieces of paper?
You see this, Mr. Ladies and gentlemen in the back row, if you want to stand up, it might be easier.
Back in here. Will we see that here now? When you take your seat, would you take a moment and look at that box that's marked States Exhibit 145 in front of you? Do you recognize that?
Yes.
What is that?
That is the packaging that we put the knife into. I had moved it to take some photographs of it. My initials were on there and stuff.
So the knife we saw that was removed from the postage envelope.
Correct.
And other than the fact that it's got some blue evidence tape and some lab markings on it, is it substantially the same condition as when it was repackaged?
Yes.
And we've opened this to look at before trial, correct?
Yes.
So if we look inside, there's some paper envelopes with writing on them with blue lab tape on, correct?
That's correct.
And then also, is the knife inside there?
It is.
And is it in substantially the same condition, other than some blue film and other things on it from the lab?
That's correct.
And moved to admit State Exhibit 145.
No objection.
Proceed without objection.
And the knife is in its sheath, right? A plastic sheath here,
It's the black plastic sheets, yes.
just like we saw it in the pictures.
Correct.
Correct. Your Honor, at this time, I'd say please the court to have the detective remove it and remove the sheet so that you can see what it looks like without the sheet.
Yes, sir.
So first, let's hold out so that you can see. No further questions?
Mr. Mead, anything?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Lieutenant Hancock, you traveled to Wisconsin, correct?
That's correct.
And you flew there with Detective Holt, correct?
Correct.
And you interviewed Nicholas Godejohn,
No, sir, I did not. Mahoney interviewed him.
and you interviewed Gypsy Blanchard.
Gypsy Blanchard, yes.
And those interviews weren't at the same time, were they?
No.
And while Detective Mahoney interviewed Nicholas Godejohn, you were watching, I guess, on the closed circuit camera, correct?
Correct.
And while you were interviewing Gypsy Blanchard, Officer Detective Mahoney was watching you on the closed circuit camera.
Correct.
And you left Wisconsin with a whole bunch of evidence.
Correct.
Bags and bags of evidence.
Correct.
How'd you get that on the plane?
We didn't take a plane, rented a vehicle. Once the evidence was transferred to us, it went immediately into that vehicle, and it was never left either my side or Detective Mahold's side.
So you drove back.
That's correct.
Okay. And you were the lead investigator on this case, correct?
I was assigned case, yes.
And you're familiar with the home on Volunteer Way, correct?
Yes.
And there was was it a Nissan Cube in the driveway?
I believe it was a Cube.
And who owned that?
I believe the registration came back to Dee Dee Blanchard.
And were the keys to that vehicle found inside the house?
I don't recall that. I didn't process the scene.
We watched the videos of the hotel and the Greyhound bus station, correct?
Correct.
Those were all cash transactions by Mr. Godejohn.
Correct.
And the deposit was returned with a $50 bill, correct?
To the best of my knowledge, I didn't actually see it, but I believe that's correct.
And Nick checked into that hotel under his name, Nicholas Godejohn.
Correct.
And everything was paid for by cash. There weren't any credit cards.
Not to my knowledge.
Thank you.
Anything further?
Yes, sir.
No,
May this witness be excused.
yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Officer, thank you, appreciate it. Folks, it's about noon. Do you have a quick witness, or should we recess for lunch?
Probably should read that.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to again remind you of what you were told at the first recess of the court. Until you retire to consider your verdict, you must not discuss this case among yourselves and with others, or permit anyone to discuss it in your hearing. You should not form or express any opinion about the case until it is finally given to you to decide. Do not do any research or investigation on your own about any matter regarding this case or anyone involved with the trial. Do not communicate with others about the case by any means. Do not read, view, or listen to any newspaper, radio, electronic communication from the internet, or television report of the trial. We'll recess till 1:30. I have a court and bank meeting that I must go to briefly. So we'll see you back downstairs about 1:25 if we could. We'll try to start up right at 1:30. Thank you. Please rise. Be seated, please. Are you still going to be able to wrap it up by this afternoon session?
Yes, sir.
All right. And one of the witnesses you're going to try to get into the data, is that correct?
Yeah.
Who is that?
Michael Costello.
Mr. Costello.
Here analysis, speak over the phone.
Okay, we'll probably do that off to the side here, out of the hearing of the jury. If he has an objection, is what I was gonna say. I'm assuming you're gonna object to some of that, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, I was gonna ask Mr. Patterson which videos he intended on showing.
I plan on showing videos quickly. We're going to introduce the browsing history.
And I suspect we would object to that.
All right, well, we can make a record. We can make a record once they attempt to introduce, we'll just do it out of the hearing of the jury.
Yes, sir.
Okay, see you all at 1:30 then. Thank you.
I don't know about you all, but when I watch this, I don't feel like his defense are putting in any defense. Like, their effort is minimal. There's barely been any objections to anything. And obviously, he's not the type of lad that's going to argue that with them, is he? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not sure he had the best defense.
He's just.
All righty. Y'all get lunch hopefully? You have another witness?
Judge's smile.
Okay.
He's a happy judge.
Come on up, have a seat. I'll swear you in after you get seated, okay? Okay, better if you sit. I've had people fall off when we swear. They lose their balance or something, I don't know. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in the cause nothing for the court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? You got it.
I do.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Can you please state your name?
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't work, but you can.
That
do that.
microphone is so low. He must be so
And
damn
Mr. Exner,
full.
what's your current occupation?
I currently work in sales and marketing at Dynamic DNA Laboratories.
And what do you do at Dynamic DNA Laboratories?
Right now, focused on sales and marketing of our number of variety of genetic tests and other things we do.
How long have you worked there?
Since April of this year.
And what did you do prior to working at Dynamic DNA Laboratories?
Prior to working at Dynamic, I worked for the Missouri State Highway Patrol Crime Laboratory here in Springfield.
How long did you work for the Missouri State Highway Patrol?
A little over 5 years.
And what were your duties with the crime lab here?
Yeah, my duties mainly consisted of locating, identifying, and genetically typing biological material, and then making subsequent comparisons to known reference standards.
And what was your title?
I was a DNA criminalist.
And in order to work as a DNA criminalist, did you first, actually let me back up. First, what's your educational background?
I got my undergraduate degree from Southwest Baptist University in Bolivar, Missouri in biology, and then went on and got my master's in plant science from Missouri State University.
Then in order to work as a criminalist, did you have to go through additional training from the Missouri Highway Patrol?
Yes, I did.
Okay, can you describe that?
Generally consisted of about a year and a half of in-house training of understanding the technology from my educational background, but then figuring out ways to apply it and running a number of examples and different samples kind of prepared before the work.
Me too.
And how long was that process?
I
About a year
did
and a half.
too. In fact, I think the prosecution of objects.
Mr. Exner, just in general, what is DNA?
Yeah, DNA stands for deoxyribonucleic acid, a big fancy word that really is just the blueprint of life. It's what makes us unique and what makes us all human.
And where do we
One
get
thing
our
that makes me unique,
Yeah,
and
we
that's
get
me.
half of our DNA from our father and half of our DNA from our mother.
So if you're working as a criminalist at the crime lab and you receive a piece of evidence, are there some preliminary steps you go through to see if there's anything on there that may even be suitable for testing?
Can you restate the question?
Sure.
Yeah.
Let's take it, you get an item of clothing.
Mhm.
Is there a preliminary stage that when you look at that item of clothing that you go through to see if there's maybe something on there you can test?
Yeah, generally what we'll have is kind of a summary of whatever the incident
bloody
is.
cold,
And so
Mitch.
knowing what the summary is and knowing oftentimes what type of biological material we would be looking for would often dictate the type of DNA analysis I would perform.
And then if you are able to locate DNA, are you able to put that into some kind of format that you can see?
Yes.
What is that called?
That would be called a DNA profile.
Now, if you're able to develop a DNA profile from a piece of evidence, do you necessarily know whose DNA that is?
Not initially, no.
So then is it common for you to receive maybe a suspect's DNA or a victim's DNA so that you can compare?
Yes, it was common practice for us to have what we call a reference standard from all subjects associated with the case, whatever it was.
And what was the most common form that you would get those reference standards in?
Yeah, the most common form would be what's called a buccal swab, BUCCAL, and that actually just stands the medical term for the inside of the cheek. So a buccal swab would probably be the most common.
Then
Makes me
assuming
think of
you're
buckle.
able to develop a DNA profile from a piece of evidence, do you compare that
Freezing.
profile to those of your reference standards from a suspect and or victim?
Yes.
Now, if a profile from a piece of evidence is consistent with somebody's known profile, how do you word that?
Generally, we would word it as that it would be consistent with.
And why do you use that phrase instead of it's a match?
Yeah, a big part of it has to do with the fact that we don't look at the entire strand of DNA. We only look at, in this case, 16 locations along the DNA. So the DNA being billions of nucleotides long, we would only look for 16 different locations within that. And so without being able to test the whole strand of DNA, that's really all we can say.
But then are you able to use statistics to put a probability that those profiles actually are from the same person?
Yes, it could.
And how does that work?
So generally, there have been studies that have been done that have shown what are called relative frequencies. So they've looked at these locations over a large number of people, and given certain ethnic backgrounds, they can see how often these, what were called alleles at these locations, how often they would come up in certain population groups. And so we would apply essentially the statistical weight to that, and then do those comparisons and create a result that we would report out.
Drawing your attention now to back in 2015, did you take part in a case that involved the death of someone named Claudine Blanchard?
Is it okay if I look at my notes?
Yes.
Yes, I did.
And what was your role in the investigation?
In this particular investigation, I was the DNA analyst assigned to the case.
And were there various items then that you went ahead and tested?
Yes, there was.
And in about early 2016, did you complete some reports that had the results of your testing?
Yes, I did.
Now, you mentioned reference standards being that you know it comes from a certain person. Did you have those in this case?
Yes, I did.
Which ones did you have?
I had the buccal swabs from the 3 subjects associated in this case.
And I'll just show you quickly here. This has already been admitted as State's Exhibit 43. Is that the buccal swab of the victim, Ms. Blanchard?
Yes.
And this tape right here that you used that?
Yes, I can tell both by the tape at the bottom with my initials and date across that, as well as our crime lab barcode that we apply to every piece of evidence that comes into the lab. I also have my initial and date on that as well.
All right. Now I'll show you what's already been admitted as State's Exhibit 178. Is this the reference standard of Mr. Godejean?
Yes, it appears to be.
And again, same tape and marking as you described earlier.
Yes.
And then lastly, State's Exhibit 179, is that a reference standard for Gypsy Blanchard?
Yes, this appears to be.
And you know you handled it for the same reason you've already described.
Yes.
Were some of the items that you tested, did those come from the bathroom at 2103 West Volunteer Way?
That was my understanding, yes.
Specifically, did you test some paper towels?
Yes, I did.
If you would look at there in State's Exhibit 24, and now State's Exhibit 25, we see a roll of paper towels. When you received it, it would have been an evidence bag, is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
But then by the time you actually tested it, would you have taken it out and tested the red substance there at the top?
Yes, I would.
And what were the results of your testing of the paper towel?
So after testing with a chemical that we call leucomalachite green, just looking, it's a chemical that we use to color change tests that reacts to blood. And after testing that, I say that it's green positive for the presence of blood.
And then did you make comparison to the known profiles that you have?
Yes, I did.
And were there any consistencies?
Yes, there was.
And what was that result?
The profile that I developed from the screen positive blood stain is consistent with that of Nicholas Godejohn and has an approximate frequency of 1 in 89.93 quadrillion in the Caucasian population and 1 in 20.46 quintillion in the Black population. Gypsy Blanchard and Claudinia Blanchard are eliminated as a source of the profile.
And that was a big number that you mentioned.
Yes.
Is that more than the population of people on Earth?
Yes, it is.
Now, you could look up there at State's Exhibit 28. You also did some testing on that swab from the sink. Can you describe what your results were from that?
From item 14.1 being the crime laboratory number for this, I say that a DNA profile was developed and is characteristic of being a mixture of 3 individuals. Claudinia Blanchard, Gypsy Blanchard, and Nicholas Godejohn cannot be eliminated as contributors to the mixture.
So when you receive a mixture, do you still do the same thing where you assign a number or a percent probability that it is a mixture of those 3 individuals?
It's a similar process, again, using the statistics that we have from studies that have been done. But in this case, we utilize what's called a likelihood ratio, and we essentially put forth a hypothesis, and we look at likelihoods of those particular alleles at those locations to determine whether or not we assign some weight to it.
And what was that statistic or hypothesis about this mixture from this swab?
So from this swab, the observed mixture profile is 475.7 quintillion times in the Caucasian population and 8.084 septillion times in the Black population, more likely to occur under the scenario that it originated from a mixture of DNA from Claudinia Blanchard, Gypsy Blanchard, and Nicholas Godejohn, as opposed to the scenario that the mixture originated from a mixture of DNA from 3 unknown, unrelated individuals.
Then lastly, did you also do some testing on a knife?
Yes, I did.
I'll just show you what's already been admitted as State's Exhibit 145. But is that the knife that you tested?
Yes, it is.
And then there seem to be several swabs in here with blue tape. What are those?
Those were the swabs that I took from various parts of the knife.
And they appear in the same or substantially same condition as when you packaged them.
Yes, they do.
What was your general approach to testing the knife?
So a large part of our in-house training program that we deal with the Highway Patrol is dealing with a number of samples from potentially a number of different scenarios. And so my time with Patrol, having worked a variety of cases, including those with knives, I basically swapped different parts of the knife because basically there would be a kind of a story to tell from each part of the knife.
So if you look over your shoulder there at State's Exhibit 138, I know with the blue glove aside, is that photograph the knife that we just looked at in the exhibit?
Yes, it appears to be.
And so did you test the blade of this knife?
Yes, I did.
And what, if any, results came from testing the blade?
The blade did screen positive for the presence of blood, and that a DNA profile was developed from that. and that the profiles consist of being a mixture of two individuals. The major component of the mixture is consistent with the profile developed from Claudina Blanchard and has an approximate frequency of 1 in 2.196 quadrillion in the Caucasian population and 1 in 437.8 quadrillion in the Black population.
And now, did you also test the handle of the knife?
Yes, I did.
Did you just test one place or more than one?
In this case, I swabbed more than one.
And specifically, what areas of the handle did you test?
In this instance, I swabbed the red part of the handle there, and then I also swabbed where the red part of the handle met the black part of the handle.
Taking first the red part of the handle, what was the result of your testing on that part?
That also screened positive for the presence of blood. DNA profile was developed and was consistent of being a mixture of two individuals. Nicholas Godejohn and Claudina Blanchard cannot be eliminated as contributors to the mixture. The observed mixture profile is 1.719 billion times in the Caucasian population and 56.15 billion times in the Black population, more likely to occur under the scenario that originated from a mixture of DNA from Claudina Blanchard and Nicholas Godejohn, as opposed to the scenario that the mixture originated from a mixture of DNA from Claudina Blanchard and an unknown, unrelated individual.
And then how about where you swabbed, where the black part of the handle meets the red part of the handle? What were your results there?
From that one, a DNA profile was developed as characteristic of being a mixture of three individuals. Claudina Blanchard, Gypsy Blanchard, and Nicholas Godejohn cannot be eliminated as contributors to the mixture. The observed mixture profile is 59.88 quadrillion times in the Caucasian population and 6.12 quintillion times in the Black population, more likely to occur under the scenario that it originated from a mixture of DNA from Claudina Blanchard, Gypsy Blanchard, and Nicholas Godejohn, as opposed to the scenario that the mixture originated from a mixture of DNA from three unknown, unrelated individuals.
I don't have any other questions, Your Honor.
Any questions?
Okay. Okay, this witness be excused.
Yes, sir.
May he be excused?
Yes, Judge.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. You have another witness?
We do, but I think that based on our prior conversations, we need to make a record first.
All right. Why don't we just go in here and do that? Okay. Now, folks, our next witness is going to take a little while. And so we're going to break in the middle of the testimony on direct. We normally don't do that, but that way you aren't sitting too long. If you need a break, though, before we get to that stopping point, just raise your hand and we'll stop then. Okay, I don't want to make anybody uncomfortable. Okay, so Mr. Patterson.
State calls Michael Costello.
All right. Come on up, sir. Have a seat right here. So if you raise your right hand, do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in the cause now pending before the court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
State the name for the record, please. Michael Costello.
Your Honor, we would lodge our objection.
All right. I'll overrule that objection. That'll be subject to what we talked about in the back.
Yes, sir.
Can you spell your last name for the record, please? Costello. How are you employed?
I'm a computer forensic analyst with the Springfield Police Department.
Could you describe for the jury what a computer forensic analyst is?
My job is to process digital evidence. So digital evidence is anything that can store data related to a criminal case, but pretty much everything I work on is smartphones, computers, flash drives, and memory cards. It's my job to go out to scenes and collect that evidence, pull the information from that, analyze it, and then create reports for investigators.
You said you work for the Springfield Police Department, correct?
Correct.
Do you sometimes assist other agencies like the Greene County Sheriff's Office?
Yes.
Do you have some certifications that enable you to do the work that you do?
Yes, I have 3.
Where are they?
I'm a certified forensic computer examiner, which is put on by the International Association of Computer Investigative Specialists. That certification requires a multi-month process where you go through testing and they give you examples of data and you process it and answer questions about it. I am also an NK certified examiner. NK is just a software tool that we use sometimes in forensics. It required going to several training classes and also a testing process after that. I am also a Celebrite certified mobile examiner. Celebrite is a phone forensic tool. They have several levels of certification, and that's the highest one that they have.
Do you have some additional training in that area as well, in addition to the certifications?
Yeah, I have over 700 hours in computer forensic training covering everything from getting data from devices, how data is stored on devices, and how operating systems save those and the artifacts that are left behind when people do certain things.
Since you mentioned, when you say artifact left behind, can you just generally tell us what you mean by that?
Artifact would be something like web history or chat messages, something specific to a certain program.
Do you also teach in the area of computer forensics?
Yes, that first certification that I mentioned, the Certified Forensic Computer Examiner, the first half of that process, you have a coach that grades your work and answers all of your questions. So I've been doing that for other people that are going through that process, being their coach for several years. I also teach classes to detectives on investigating digital crimes.
Did you have an occasion in 2015 to assist the Greene County Sheriff's Office in the investigation of the death of Dee Blanchard?
Yes,
And in the course of that work, did you examine a Hewlett-Packard desktop computer tower?
yes,
And you've looked at that recently, correct? The physical item
yes.
in our office. So if I just hold up, take it to 86, do you recognize that?
Yes, that's it.
And then did you also examine a Hewlett-Packard Pavilion laptop DV6000 that has a white top lid?
Yes,
And when you examined that, was it contained in a bag? It also had like a black computer laptop bag?
Yeah.
And you've seen that recently as well?
yes.
Is that what's contained in Safe Exhibit 89?
I believe so, yes.
And you examined some phones as well?
Correct.
I'll lock these up. Safe Exhibit 79 has been introduced as a Kyocera flip phone. Is that the phone you examined?
Yes,
And Safe Exhibit 94 is an LG touchscreen phone. Is that the phone you examined?
yes.
So with regard to the two computers, States Exhibit 86 and 89, did you perform a forensic examination on those two machines?
Yes.
Can you describe what you did in general?
I take pictures of the device. I then remove the hard drive out of it. In the case of the desktop, it actually had two hard drives. I then create what's called a forensic image of that hard drive, which essentially just means it's an exact copy of the data that's on the hard drive, but there's some checks in there to make sure that it is an exact copy. I then do all of my analysis using that copy. I use several different software tools to do that. One of those is called X-Ways Forensic, that just allows you to browse and search and a bunch of other things. Another program I use is called Internet Evidence Finder, or IEF for short, and it looks more for specific artifacts. And actually, its specialty is web browser history and chat messages. The other thing I do is I take that and I essentially boot the copy of those computers on my computer so I can kind of see how it looked to the user using something called virtual machines. Once I do all that, I bookmark the things that I think will be important, and I provide that to the investigators.
And so when I boot up my computer, I know down in like the right-hand corner, it tells me the day and time.
Yeah.
Did you examine these two computers to see if the date and time stamps were accurate on them?
Yes, what I do is I go into the BIOS while the hard drive is disconnected, which is that thing you initially see when it starts up that kind of controls it at the basic level. And I look at the date and time there. The desktop computer was correct, and the laptop computer was only 2 minutes off, so they were essentially correct.
Did you do something to examine the computer to see if you could tell, just based on the contents of the computer, who was it that used the computer?
Yes.
How do you do that?
I go through and look and see what stuff is there that indicates who used it. So in this case, you can look at things like he had some chat applications installed, and the username that he used was in GoToJohn89. There were some documents that were on them that indicated they were written by Mr. GoToJohn. You can look at the saved logins for websites in his web browser, and those all indicated in GoToJohn89 as well. And there's also pictures that were taken and videos that were taken with the webcam on them, and they showed him as well.
As you looked at these two computers, was there anything about the way they were set up, or the accounts were set up, on them that was perhaps more sophisticated or different than what a typical user would do in your experience?
There was some things that were a little different. He had several cleaning programs installed, but the big thing was his encryption setup.
First, let's talk about a little bit about the cleaning programs. What do you mean by a cleaning program?
They're programs that are intended to try and make your computer run faster. So in doing so, it normally removes a lot of things. With that, it also erases a lot of the history of what the user has done on the computer.
Such that if it's been cleaned by the cleaner, you wouldn't be able to recover it if it had done it properly.
Correct. In theory, if it cleans it correctly, all of that evidence would be gone. One of the programs he had installed, he had at least two. One of them was actually scheduled to run 3 times a week, so it would have been running very frequently.
In spite of those programs, were you able to find some artifacts and data on the computers relevant to this case?
Yes, I found that program that was scheduled to run did not erase everything. It was not erasing stuff correctly if you wanted to leave nothing behind.
And so is that a user error or a problem with the program itself?
It's a problem with the program itself. If he was to pull up his web browser and look at his web history, there wouldn't be any there. But it was still leaving data behind in the databases that the history is stored in.
So as the user of that computer, I would think it was working properly.
Correct.
You mentioned something about encryption. Can you tell us what you meant by that?
Yeah, so the desktop computer had 2 hard drives. The first I just used for storage, but that hard drive was encrypted with a encryption method called BitLocker. It's built into versions of Windows, and it allows you to encrypt a partition. So a partition is a subdivision of a hard drive. But in this case, this drive only had 1 partition on it that filled the entire drive. So essentially the entire drive was encrypted.
So if I can stop you for a second, if I think of my hard drive as like a pie shape or a circle, a partition would be like a slice of that pie.
It would be.
But here is the whole drive.
Correct.
Okay. And you were starting to explain further.
So inside of that, once I was able to decrypt that, there were folders on that drive that had then been encrypted with another method. So this other method allows you to do individual files and folders. So BitLocker does the entire partition, and this method called encrypting file system, or EFS, another method built into Windows, allows you to do specific files and folders, and there were a couple folders and their contents that had been encrypted with that method also.
And so in that second method, did any of those files or folders relate to anyone involved in this case?
Yes.
Good.
There was a folder titled My Dear Gypsy that had numerous videos from her, and that was the folder that was encrypted. One of them.
Are you familiar with Google Chrome?
Yes,
Can you tell us what that is briefly?
it is a web browser.
And did the defendant use Google Chrome?
Yes.
Was there something about how Google Chrome was set up on these 2 computers that was of note?
Yeah, he had Google Chrome on both computers, and he was signed into his Google account on both of them. So when you do that, it allows data to sync back and forth between them. So the things you bookmark will show up on both, the passwords that you save will show up on both, and some of your web history will also be transferred from one to the other.
As you examined these computers and later the phones, did you see evidence of communication between the defendant, Nicholas Godejohn, and Gypsy Blanchard?
Yes.
Can you briefly describe, well, before I get to that, did you know, as you were looking at those communications and things on the computer, were there some things that are perhaps important to understand that will help us understand the communications?
Yes.
What do you mean by that?
There were 2 things. One is they would refer to different aspects of their personalities as different names. So Godejohn would be Victor or my evil side, and Gypsy had names like Candy, Bella, Demona, Ruby, and there may have been some others. Secondly, they had what I've come to refer to as their signature salutation. So most of the time when they would stop talking to each other, closing out a conversation, they would say something to the effect of, I love, worship, and adore you, and they had that order wrong, and they would refer to each other as their twin flame soulmate. Most all of their communications when it ended had one or both of those.
Describe the types of communications just in general that you found.
There was messages from Skype between the 2 of them. There were stories, sexual stories that were saved on there that were likely exchanged, and there were numerous videos that they had recorded where they were talking to each other.
You mentioned Skype. What is Skype?
Skype is a communication program, so it can be used to do chat messages, chat communication. It can be used to do audio calls. It can be used to do video calls, and it can be used to do screen sharing. You can show someone else your computer screen.
So if I were using Skype, might I text or chat with someone to say, hey, let's get online and talk to each other?
You could.
And then I might have a live session where we're just talking face to face.
Correct.
And the chat portion might be recorded, whereas typically the face to face wouldn't be. Is that fair to say?
Correct. There would be a record of the call taking place and normally how long it lasted, but what is said during that call is not recorded anyway.
And did you locate a Skype chat message which discussed where the defendant was discussing plans involving Gypsy's mother?
Yes.
I'm going to show you a disc that marked the State's Exhibit 158. Now, do you recognize that disc?
Yes.
Is that the disc on which we prepared the exhibit of that Skype chat message?
Yes.
And how do you know it's that disc?
My initials and DSN are on there.
So when we look at what's on the disc, is that going to appear just like it would have appeared on the screen for the user or something different?
No, it's going to be the software program I use, Internet Evidence Finder, essentially turns it into a web page and turns it into a grid. And so this is going to be just a screenshot of that grid of information.
Almost like a spreadsheet.
Yes.
Different columns. And so, for example, it might show when a live session started and ended,
Yes.
and then also show the typed chat and the content of that chat.
Correct.
I move to admit State's Exhibit 158.
The objection is noted. It will be a bigger group.
We're going to blow up what's in the boxes, but just in general, this is that sort of table you were telling us about. Yeah. And this is from a chat that occurred, it's small here, but on March 29th of 2015. And it shows the author as Nicholas Godershaw.
Correct.
And the recipient as Allie Doak.
Correct.
All right, so having blown that up, would you go ahead and read the chat message to the jury from Nicholas Godershaw?
Gypsy went on a mother's type of group on Facebook and talked about our story on what we planned on doing. You see, me and her are planning on having a baby next year as a way to stay together, so her mom has no choice but to let us be together. But you see, I saw comments on her post to that group that was bad-mouthing me, and she just took it like, wow, okay, I'm a weight. And it had to do with finding someone better than me.
Were you able to examine the defendant's browser history or web history on these two computers?
Yes.
And can you just, in general, talk about what we mean by that, browser history or web history?
It would be the websites that were visited in Google Chrome.
And so is part of that just sort of looking at the history, like we'd be familiar with in our computer or where we've been?
It would be, but there's some complications with it in this case.
Why don't you talk about that?
Okay, so that the cleaning program that I mentioned earlier, that was supposed to be wiping all of the web history, was only wiping a portion of it. So when Chrome is pulling this information up, it pulls it from multiple different sources, and it was essentially only erasing one source. So we have web history, but it is not a complete picture of all of the web history. And then there's sometimes you don't know exactly which computer it was visited on because of the sync taking place between the two. But in addition to that, there is something called fav icons, which is short for favorite icons. So these are the icons that show up next to the title of a web page in the top menu bar or a tab. When you're looking at your history, it's the icons show up next to it or bookmarks. They're normally, for most places, like the icon for a company or something if you're visiting a company website.
So like, for example, if I went to Walmart.com, that sort of yellow flower thing, symbol
Yes.
would be the icon.
Yeah.
Or if I went to Amazon.com, it might be that A, I can figure out, it looks like exactly their icon for their business.
Correct. So what Chrome does is it saves those icons, and then it saves the websites that were visited that were associated with those icons. With that, it saves the last time that the icon was updated. So you have a date and time associated with the icon, but you don't have a date and time associated with the specific sites that were visited. So when you have these dates and times, you know that they were visiting, like if you have one for Walmart, you know that they were on some form of Walmart site at that time, but you don't know specifically which part of Walmart they were on.
When you were looking at the browsing history and the fave icons, were you able to locate information about the defendant coming to Springfield, Missouri?
Yes,
Were you able to locate information where he browsed the sites looking at weapons or other articles that might be used in a murder?
yes.
And have we put those things that you found together on a disk
Yes,
information?
yes.
And how do you recognize that as being that disk?
It has my initials in yes.
I moved to United States Exhibit 159.
I'll show that later in the objection.
Right, so on this title slide, it's that for the desktop computer, and that Z number would be the evidence barcode number for that computer, correct?
Correct.
And the first thing we're going to look at is some of those favorite icons from the desktop computer.
Yes,
And so the block that we've blown up there, that's just a blow up of what's underneath, right, on the chart?
correct.
And so on March 16th of 2015, a visit to Springfield Village School.
Correct. So that won't necessarily be the specific time that that page was visited, but that would be a time that lillysportal.net was visited.
And then what's the second one that came up?
Flowerama of Springfield.com,
And the date.
March 16th of 2015. And copsplus.com/handcuffs. That is March 14th of 2015.
And on this next page, we're still on the Chrome fave icons.
That is something that Time Warner Cable does whenever you try to visit a site that is down or doesn't exist. So bondagetape.com was the site that was attempted to be visited, but it was either down or did not exist at that time. And that's March 10th of 2015, or May 10th of 2015. That's symtoys.com with bondage tape. Same date. And lovehoney.com, blog 2014, September 30, bondage tape. AlanEve.com, adult sex toys, kinky bondage, SP sex, mischief, bondage tape.
Now we're moving to part of the report that dealt with web history from the desktop computer, correct?
Correct. So here is walmart.com, March 19, 2015 at 3:28 p.m. With this one, it is unknown for sure which computer this visit would have happened on.
Yeah, I think you said March 19th. Did you mean May 19th?
May 19, 2015.
From there, we're going to switch back to the fave icons on the desktop computer. And did you find things associated with that visit to walmart.com on May 19th?
Possibly on that day. So that is a walmart.com search for bondage tape, a walmart.com search for taser, a walmart.com search for knives. This one is the search for knives on walmart.com, but you see at the end category tactical knives. When you search on Walmart for knives, it gives you other options to narrow down your search on the side. Tactical knives is one of those categories, so category tactical knives shows you drill down into that category. That is a specific entry for a specific knife. Another knife, and add a third knife.
I'm going to switch to the laptop computer. Again, that Z number is the barcode number for that computer.
Correct.
And looking at favorite icons.
That is an Amazon page for double locking steel police handcuffs.
Date.
May 28th, 2015, but again, that just shows that Amazon was visited at that time. There's no guarantee it's that specific website that was visited. And eBay.com, that is a search for tasers.
And the rest of these underneath that are also eBay searches for tasers, just with a small part of the search shown.
Yes. Taser, search for taser, search for taser gun. That's a specific listing for a guard dog 65 million volt stun gun. And a search for taser gun.
Now back to the desktop web history.
That is a visit on May 31st, 2015 to greyhound.com, specifically a page dealing with tickets and travel. May 31st, 2015, that's the same one. Then a visit for a page on baggage information, and then a PDF on their prohibited items list. And that is a visit on June 3rd, 2015 to filmingcops.com/cases handcuffed girl to death.
On June 3rd, 2015.
Correct. Another visit to greyhound.com, but that specific one, we want to know exactly which device that one was on.
On June 7th of 2015.
Correct. And then on June 8th, 2015 at 7:46 a.m., a visit to taxifarefinder.com. And then just a short while later, a specific search for what was his address to the bus station in Milwaukee.
And going to the laptop web history.
Taxi Fare Finder, June 8th of 2015 at 7:46 a.m. And this is an example of one that was probably transferred during the sync. That's the exact same one on the other, but there was more detail on the other. That is June 9th, 2015 at 1:40 p.m. And that is the webpage for the Days in Springfield on I-44. All of that there is consistent with logging into the hotel Wi-Fi of the Days in Springfield on I-44. And that was June 9th, 2015 at 5:42 p.m.
If I understand you correctly, so like when I go to the hotel and I check in and I want to get on the Wi-Fi, I turn on my computer, and when I do that, the first thing I have to do before I can go to Google or Amazon or whatever is I have to log in to the hotel's Wi-Fi system.
Yeah, most places require you to do that. That is a taxi fare finder, June 10th, 2015 at 1:01 a.m. for going from the Days Inn to 2103 West Volunteer Way. And at 1:14 a.m., a Google Maps lookup for that same address, the victim's address.
And so if I'm not familiar with Google Maps, it will allow me to go and look at either the map or even a satellite view of that location.
It could, yeah.
And that's at what time again?
1:14 a.m. on June 10th, 2015.
And after that Google Maps, is there a break in activity?
Yes.
And then back to the Days in,
Yes, at 10:17 p.m. that same day.
June 10th. So I want to talk about Exhibit 94, the LG phone with flat screen on it. Did you examine that?
Yes.
Were you able to, from its content, you identify its user?
Yes.
How and who?
It was Gypsy's phone. The Google account, it was an Android phone. The Google account link was in her name. There were email accounts added to it that were in her name. There were outgoing text messages that never went through that said, hey, it's Gypsy. And then there were some selfies that were found on the micro SD that was in the phone.
Were you able to tell if this phone had cell service?
I don't believe it did.
Why?
There were no calls, and there were no outgoing text messages that worked, and the only incoming messages were Amber Alerts and weather alerts, which you receive whether you have cell service or not.
Could that phone still then be used to communicate via SMS or text message with someone?
It could through a couple different ways.
Did you find evidence that this phone had been used in that way, in one of those ways? Tell us about that.
It can still be put on Wi-Fi, and on Wi-Fi, you can use any app that would allow you to do that. In this case, she had Yahoo Messenger installed, and there were messages sent to cell phone numbers.
Did you also examine, we've already admitted, Safety Exhibit 79, the Kyocera flip phone. When you looked at it, were you able to tell who the user of that phone was?
Yes.
How?
There were messages addressing the user. It was Mr. Goodajohn's phone. There were messages addressing the user as Nick. There was a contact list entry for mom, and I was told by investigators that that number was his mom's number, and there was a selfie taken with the phone.
As you looked at Safety Exhibit 94, the LG phone, and the Safety Exhibit 79, the Kyocera flip phone, it was the defendant's. Could you tell those two devices had communicated?
They did.
How do you know that?
A conversation on the LG phone, the messages matched exactly with messages that were on the Kyocera phone. The Kyocera phone had more messages, but the messages that were still on the LG phone matched exactly.
And what messaging service was Gypsy Blanchard using on her phone?
She was using Yahoo Messenger on hers.
And so when I use Yahoo Messenger, when we look at these texts later, does it say this is from Gypsy, or how does that appear?
It just appears as a number. So the first time you receive if you're the person on the texting end, the first time you receive a message from someone through Yahoo Messenger, it comes from the number 924-665 and then 01. If a second person was to contact you, it comes through as 924-665-02. So in this case, he had two conversations called 924-665-06 and 07. The 07 conversation matched up with the conversation from Gypsy's phone, and it actually switches back and forth. You can tell from the conversation that 06 is Gypsy also. I mean, it switches back and forth as the conversation goes on over a couple weeks.
And so with Yahoo Messenger, can I either do that from a mobile device like a phone, or also from a laptop or some other kind of computing device?
Correct. You could do that from anywhere you have access to Yahoo Messenger, whether it be a phone app, a computer app, or even their website.
And the messages you found, did those go back to May 27th?
Yes.
And for the disk we put together, does it end then on June 10th of 2015?
Yes.
And did we put together a disk that contains those text messages you found between the defendant and Gypsy Blanchard?
Yes.
Is that what is on this disk labeled States Exhibit 160?
Yes.
And you recognize that disk?
Yes. It has my initials in DSM.
And you reviewed it?
Yes.
And does it fairly accurately capture that text conversation between the defendant and Gypsy Blanchard?
Yes.
And because it has that to and from that 624 number, did we add a box, a pink box with label Gypsy for the ones from her phone?
Yes.
And a blue box for the ones with the defendant, for the ones from the defendant?
Yes.
I moved to admit States Exhibit 160.
I'll show that admitted over objection.
And we did sort of a slide with the dates when we transitioned from one date to another. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then to aid the jury, would you please read the text to them?
Yes.
Can you see from where you're sitting, or would it be easier
I think so.
for us to put a chair over there?
I think I did.
Okay.
Beginning Wednesday, May 27th of 2015. Gypsy, what was it for, hon?
And that's just where the first text you could find started, correct?
Correct. Defendant, that was my evil side who did that. You know, my good side would never call you that, hon. Maybe a bitch when you're being one, but that is all, hon. Well, it's all true, hon, and it was about voices in my head, but instead of getting rid of them, they became part of me, baby. How it works is based on my thoughts and feelings, dear. Depends on what part of me shows, honey. Gypsy, I understand, hon. But that don't mean I don't understand you. I do. Defendant, well, maybe after I explained it, you understand, sweetie. Otherwise, no one else understands, hon. Gypsy, well, I do. You understood me in my different ways. Defendant, well, we're supposed to understand each other if we just know how to express each other, dear. Heart emoji.
If we may, before we go any further, because the court reporter is recording everything he's saying, Mr. Patterson, he's reading verbatim from 160. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Do you want the court reporter to report it exactly as he's reading it? Mr. Perry? I'm just trying to think, there's 800 of these.
I think it needs to be.
You do?
Yes,
All right.
it's on record.
Okay.
Gypsy, sometimes I'm too expressive. LOL or laugh out loud. Defendant, not really, because expression involves details and you know I'm better at that, hun. Gypsy, yes you are, but I too want everything you do too. Defendant, what do you mean? Gypsy, everything you said you want, I want too. To be together. Defendant, honey, this is where we're different though. I don't just want everything with you, but I need everything with you for me to feel complete, sweetheart. Heart emoji. Gypsy, I need you too. Promise me the good part of you will never die. BTW, or by the way, I'm on FB too. FB is probably Facebook. Defendant, really dear? Because at times I wonder if you need me. Baby, it could never die. Gypsy, I do need you. It kills me to make you have to be on these ups and downs. Defendant, honey, you would not mind using a sweet name every once in a while. It helps me remember I'm worshipped, hon. Gypsy, sure, sweetie. Defendant, that's better, dear. Heart emoji. Gypsy, it's not that I don't worship you. I do, baby. I do, and I look forward to being with you. I'm just dealing with everything changing, hon. Defendant, about you or exactly what changes, dear? Gypsy, the move, the change that's coming. Darling, I'm scared. Defendant, scared of what, my love? Gypsy, of everything. I'm not good with change, baby. Defendant, everything? Sweetheart, we both have that in common when it has to do with moving, dear. Gypsy, I'm going to be okay. I just needed to calm down and take a breath. But darling, my feelings for you will never change. Heart emoji. I'm yours and you do make me happy. Defendant, I hope they never change because you scare me at times, dear. Heart emoji. I hope so, honey, because I put my mind, heart, and soul into being with you and making you happy, sweetie. Heart emoji. Gypsy, my feelings won't change, and though I have freakouts, I always come back to you, my love. I'm so sorry I scared you. I'll give you lots of love in the hotel, baby. Defendant, well, that's reassuring, dear. I needed that. Heart emoji. After doing what my evil side said, hun, Gypsy, I reassured you on FB too, hun. Heart emoji.
So sometimes does it appear that they're communicating on more than one format at a time, Facebook as well as texting?
Yes. Yes, baby. Defendant, okay, baby. Heart emoji. Gypsy, you said don't let anything in our way. I wore myself out with being emotional. Defendant, it's true, dear. I'm guessing you have a correlation to that when I said it, dear. Heart emoji. Defendant, it's true, dear. I'm guessing you have a correlation to that when I said it, dear. Heart emoji.
Is it possible you just took a double picture of that one as you were photographing all this?
I may have. Gypsy, sorry, hon. I took a nap. Defendant, I thought you did, dear. Heart emoji. Gypsy, I hope you feel better now, hon, because I do. Defendant, I just needed to be reassured, hon. Heart emoji. Gypsy, okay, darling. Well, I love, adore, and worship you, my everything, and I'm not giving up.
Is that example of that signature salutation and stuff like that?
Yes. XOXOXOXOX, which is slang for hugs and kisses. Defendant, that's music to my ears, sweetie. Heart emoji. Gypsy, big smile. Defendant, dear, will there be less of these freakouts in person? Gypsy, yes, darling. When we're together, I will be a lot more relaxed. Mostly because we can use hugs, kisses, and body language to prevent it. Defendant, true, and sex will relieve us of the stress, dear. Gypsy, LOL, laugh out loud, that too, honey. Defendant, yes, dear, heart emoji. Gypsy, A lot of our problems are we don't have a physical relationship, hun, so it's hard, hun. Defendant, true. I suppose most of our problems are physical related here. Gypsy, and I want you to know being with me won't be hell. It will be much better, sweetie. Defendant, when exactly, dear, since you got me curious? Gypsy, well, I'm going to start now, but I'll be all the way better when we see each other, honey. Defendant, all right, dear, heart emoji. Gypsy, do I make you happy? Defendant, when you don't have your freakouts, yes, dear. Gypsy, maybe you might like me better in person. BTW, or by the way, I'm afraid of bugs, just so you know, honey. Defendant, bugs? Dear, there is no reason for that, and you know I'll worship you either way, whether in person or from afar, heart emoji. Gypsy, I'm just letting you know my phobia is bugs and spiders. I always feel like crap after I freak out because we're caught in the middle. I can't stay even an hour away from me and you. Defendant, and spiders, that's also something harmless to you most of the time, hon. It's meant to be that way though, dear. Gypsy, it's just my fears, hon. So you take your little creepy buggy friends and escort them out the house. Defendant, exactly, dear. And don't worry about bugs, they're harmless, hon. Gypsy, so we're all cool, sweetheart? Defendant, yes, hon, it's just your freakouts that scare me, honey. Gypsy, we have that in common, hon. Defendant, of course we do, dear, heart emoji. Thursday, May 28th, 2015. Gypsy, we are all lovey again, my cutie pie. Defendant, that's great news, my Ellie. Heart emoji, smiley face emoji. Gypsy, aw, my dear Carl. Meet me on Facebook, my love. Defendant, hon, I'm glad you picked up on that reference, heart emoji. Gypsy, LOL, laugh out loud, nice job, cap up. Defendant, I knew you would catch on to it, dear. Gypsy, darling, will you tell me the movie you want to watch with me yet? Defendant, oh, the same one I have as a surprise? No, dear, it's a surprise. Gypsy, really? LOL, OMG, laugh out loud, oh my God. Do you have it? Defendant, no, but we'll buy it together, sweetie. Gypsy, okay, hon. Oh, if I showed you a YouTube clip of a TV show, would you tell me if you would watch it with me, hon? Defendant, well, I have to see the clip first, dear. Friday, May 29th, 2015. Gypsy, hey, handsome. Defendant, hey, gorgeous. Gypsy, drool makes you horny, LOL, laugh out loud. You're weird. Defendant, maybe you'll understand when you experience it, heart emoji. Gypsy, darling, I'm safe. Long story, but tornado warning was issued. Defendant, that's good news, dear, heart emoji. Gypsy, darling, can you please meet me online? We need to talk about our plan. Defendant, okay, honey, heart emoji. Gypsy, I'm still daddy's girl, hold me, and yes, it's kitty, daddy. Defendant, baby, why didn't you answer daddy before, as I hold you in my lap? Gypsy, I was taking tummy med to make me feel better, so I put my phone down. Saturday, May 30th, 2015. Defendant, okay, honey, just never change on daddy because I never want you to be anything but daddy's everything, as I rock you back and forth in my arms on my lap. Gypsy, I won't change, daddy. I curl into your shoulders and cuddle. Defendant, I keep rocking you back and forth in my arms on my lap. Are you my same daddy's girl that I reminded you of being in the past year? Gypsy, hey, baby. Darling, does your house have any kind of car? I'm looking on Google Maps. Defendant, dear, it depends on how updated their world map is. Last time I looked, it wasn't the right vehicle. Gypsy, wow, it's a small place. LOL, out loud. Defendant, yeah, it's small to a degree. Gypsy, I looked at the population and it's smaller than the smallest town I've lived in. I thought 7,800 was small. Defendant, like I said, it used to be a village and now it's a town. Gypsy, I'll adjust, LOL, laugh out loud. Besides, smaller, less trouble. Defendant, I hope so because it should be easy one to transcend to, heart emoji. Gypsy, are you ready? Like in all ways, hon. Defendant, what do you mean, dear? Gypsy, for me. Defendant, if I wasn't, I wouldn't be so eager to be living with you, dear. Gypsy, I was supposed to get pregnant in a week and a half. Defendant, okay, hon, so what are you saying? Gypsy, I just feel sad I'm not. Defendant, oh, I see, hun. Gypsy, part of me is really worried about my tube. What if I could have it taken out being pregnant? Defendant, you said you would have it taken out. Gypsy, could you wait like 10 months for plan B? Defendant, so you want me to get you pregnant again? Gypsy, I'm getting it changed, hun. Defendant, oh, because for a second I thought you wanted me to get you pregnant again, dear. Gypsy, I just was wondering, does Big Ben have a hospital? Besides, I'm late on my period. Defendant, no. Okay. Gypsy, gotcha. Defendant, MHN, MHM. Gypsy, let's move to Milwaukee, smiley emoji. We can stay with your mom for a little. Defendant, Milwaukee, I'd rather be living in Waukesha, hon. Gypsy, okay, darling, we can look up apartments in Waukesha. And with the 5,000 I have, we will be set. Defendant, good idea, dear. Heart emoji. Gypsy, I don't need to marry you to live with you. So we can take our time with wedding. I saw Waukesha looks beautiful. And I can paint and sell my art. Defendant, dear, I know that, but you mean our 5,000. True, baby. Gypsy, yes, our darling. Smiley emoji. Gypsy, and who knows, maybe after a while we can have a ceremony like a wedding time. You would make a handsome groom. Defendant, and we'll live in my birth city, hun. Heart emoji. Hopefully live close to Woodland so we get our groceries extremely cheap here. Heart emoji. Gypsy, Waukesha would be a dream come true, sweetheart. Defendant, hun, we're still going to follow our kind's traditions though, dear. Heart emoji. Gypsy, of course, darling. Defendant, I look forward to it, my dear. Heart emoji. Gypsy, I look forward to cuddles. I dreamt about it. And you gave me oral sex. Defendant, maybe so, but I look forward to kissing you. Heart emoji. As I will do in the future. Gypsy, blushes. Defendant, well, it's true, baby. Gypsy, will you give me my first orgasm soon, my love? Will you finger me on the bus? I desire pleasure too, hun. Defendant, hun, I may be naughty on the bus, just depends on the moment, depends on how naughty, hun. Heart emoji. Gypsy, well, I'm going to touch you, winking face emoji. And I'm going to kiss you too, everywhere. Defendant, dear, I may give you permission to, heart emoji, winking face emoji. Gypsy, good darling, smiley face emoji. Defendant, as for the kissing, you know you can do that on my body, sweetie. Heart emoji. Gypsy, the first movie I want to watch with you is 50 Shades of Grey. I also think we should start with soft, wet anal sex before big time anal. Let's talk on Facebook. LOL, laugh out loud. Defendant, dear, I'll watch that with you to get us in the mood, which depends on the time. It could be a later movie, dear. As for anal, don't worry about that because it's my job as your master too, dear. Gypsy, you make my girly parts tingle. Defendant, I'm glad I do because I'm supposed to, hun. Gypsy, I'm thinking about you in a naughty way. Defendant, that's good, heart emoji. Sunday, May 31st, 2015. Gypsy, you're a great daddy, and thank you for doing the worst for the best of us. Defendant, you're welcome, my dear. Gypsy, looking at your movie, lights, and music, we couldn't be more opposite. I like country, you like metal. I like drama, you like comedy. Goodness, this is awkward. Well, I'll expand my interests. Defendant, those are just a few, hon. Gypsy, I do like the animated ones. Defendant, we have more in common than you may think. Gypsy, darling, please read what I said. Defendant, okay, hon. Gypsy, good morning, my love of my life. You know what? I'm going to start wearing a ring because I want to feel married to you, so one of my rings from the girly shop, Claire, will do. Defendant, okay, hon, and sorry I didn't answer until now. Gypsy, I need to tell you a secret, hon. Defendant, go ahead, dear. Gypsy, I never stop sucking pedicure from a baby bottle. Defendant, baby, I already knew that. Gypsy, you know? How? Defendant, baby girl, seriously, do you not understand that I am with you spiritually? I experience everything with you, dear. Heart emoji. That's why there is no point in hiding things from me. Gypsy. Oh, okay, hon. Are you with me when I'm naked? I'm going to church, hon. Defendant. Okay, hon, and I'm with you at all times. Heart emoji. Gypsy. Darling, I'm 100% with the plan. Defendant. What do you mean, dear? Gypsy. I'm in for it, hon. No doubts. Defendant. Okay, darling. Gypsy. That's all just okay. I was expecting IDK, or I don't know, joy, I guess. Defendant. Dear, of course I'm happy. Heart emoji. Gypsy. Okay, good, sweetie. What's your stepdad's name, just so I know? Defendant. Charlie. That is what it is, hon. Gypsy. Okay, darling, cool. Defendant. Yes, dear. Gypsy. Please be online. Defendant. Okay, darling. Monday, June 1st, 2015. Gypsy. So you won't end this? Defendant. I'm not saying anything besides it's a waste of time. Gypsy. Get your ass back now. As I'm concerned, I'm going to rip you a new one. Defendant. That's not worth it. I always fight for us. It's your turn for once. Gypsy. Me, how the hell am I going to fight if it's one-sided? What will I wear to impress your folks? I'm going to go with you, goddammit. Defendant. I told you I'll let you know in person. Why do you say it that way? Gypsy. I'm me again. I'm sorry, my love. Defendant. Dear, you gave me another scare. Gypsy. Okay, well, good night, hon. I don't know what's wrong with me. Do you know? Defendant. Come on, baby. I know you can bond with me better than that. I love, adore, and worship you, my dear true love. Gypsy. I just did it online. At the same time. I didn't mean it when I called a life with you trash. Defendant. Dear, it's about the sex, like I told you before. The sooner I give you a orgasm, the sooner you go back to your lovey-dovey, happy self, hon. Heart emoji. But I just said it back to you, sweetie. Heart emoji. Please say it back, sweetie. Heart emoji. Gypsy. So sex is like a tranquilizer? LOL. Laugh out loud. Defendant. Baby, someday you'll how important it is in our life. Heart emoji. Gypsy. Just forget all I said tonight. Defendant. Why do you say that? Gypsy. I never meant any hurtful thing. I'm in self-destruction mode. When I'm like that, ignore me. Defendant. Well, all I could do is hope you come back, honey. Gypsy. I want to be with you. Defendant. I know, dear, you scared me, though. I thought I lost you. Gypsy. You almost did. I think I'm bipolar. Defendant. What? Baby, I don't want to lose you, though, and you told me that I couldn't ever lose. Now I worry I will. Gypsy. Well, it's more I would push you away until you walked away. I can't leave, but I can make you leave. Defendant. Baby, is that supposed to be comforting? Gypsy. In a way, yes, hon. Defendant. Please don't push me away too hard, hon. Gypsy. Is there medication for bipolar, hon? Defendant. Baby, if I did let you take medication for that, are you thinking it would help? Gypsy. Ow, massive migraine. I'm not sure it could be the distance. Because I would have jogged to Wisconsin that night I met Y. You. Defendant. So are you saying it will get better once we're in person? Gypsy. Yes, darling, that's exactly what I'm saying. I'll still have mood swings, just not severe ones like tonight. Defendant. Baby, please say it because I'm worried still, and it would be nice to be comforted right now. Gypsy. Sweetie, please don't be worried. I'm not going anywhere. Well, I'm going with you, but I mean, I'm by your side, hon. The ups and downs will balance out with us being together in person. Defendant. You know what I want to do after tonight's scare, hon? Gypsy. Have sex, LOL, laugh out loud, nudges your arm. Defendant. Baby, do you remember the tangled post I gave you a while ago? Gypsy. Of course, hon. You want to hit me with a frying pan, tongue sticking out emoji? Defendant. I want to do that right, just so I know you aren't going anywhere. Yes, the tangle posts when both tied each other up. I wish I could just so you would be stuck with me, heart emoji. Gypsy, you are with a little red string, heart emoji, kisses your forehead. Defendant, how hun? Gypsy, we are tied by our souls and hearts. I might tie you up in a kinky way, LOL, laugh out loud. Defendant, honey, I'm warning you though, you ever give me a stare like that in person, I will tie you up until I'm sure you aren't going anywhere. Because I want to make sure we never part, dear, heart emoji. Gypsy, I won't do it in person. You're all I would have in this life. Hi, sweetie. I got rest and I'm myself again, baby. Tuesday, June 2nd, 2015. Gypsy, I'm 100,000% in, hon. I'm ready, truly. Defendant, why do you say that, baby? Gypsy, because I finally allow myself to accept you're my everything. I will go with you and live our dream. Defendant, okay, hon. Gypsy, darling, I am so sorry about last night. I'm completely different. I'm your woman. Defendant, okay, dear. Gypsy, and I will be truly your everything. I know I've been up and down, but darling, in 9 days, I'm yours forever. Defendant, true, hon. True, baby. Gypsy, and yes, I'm going to fight like hell for us, baby. Do you forgive me, darling? Defendant, baby, you have a couple questions to answer online. Gypsy, please read, hon. Defendant, okay, dear. Gypsy, BTW, by the way, I trashed my old show broken laptop. So we can just use one computer together, hon. Defendant, here I answered you. And what about all the memories of us on your computer, sweetie? Gypsy, I saved them, but fuck you. You don't get it, do you? Never mind. Defendant, dear, what the heck? Gypsy, I tried being there for you. All you do is make me cry. I give everything for you. Defendant, I was trying to be nice while explaining myself, then you say that. Dear, that was uncalled for. Explaining. Gypsy, I always put my best. And you say 90% bullshit. Defendant, baby, I don't only make you cry, I have given you plenty of happy memories. Gypsy, who puts up with your overbearing ways, your ridiculous political shit? Defendant, dear, I'm not trying to argue with you, so please stop. Gypsy, I was in a romantic mood, now you screwed that to hell. Defendant, well, sorry, I'll leave you alone. All you do is push me away. Gypsy, sadly, 10 minutes ago, all I wanted was to snuggle with you. Defendant, dear, just stop talking to me. You're only going to make things worse. Since apparently now I know I can't open up to you just because of that, you keep bitching. Gypsy, I opened up. I was what you wanted and you pushed me away. Defendant, yeah, you told me to F off. I guess I'll punch you back. Gypsy, why couldn't you have just been loving? I'm sorry, hon. Look, please don't fight. Just try to understand I was saying how much I need you. And you basically called me a faker. Defendant, I didn't push you away. All I did was explain and you told me off. If that is how you feel, then I guess I can't make you happy anymore. Sorry, I'm a failure to you. Gypsy, can we please talk online? Please, we're going to be living together soon. Shouldn't we at least try and make this work? You are safe for me now. I did the right thing. Defendant, dear, I hope you come back. Gypsy, you are free, sweetie. Heart emoji. You don't have a bitch of a girl now. Defendant, free, yes, free to die. Bye, my love. Gypsy, daddy, crying. What do you mean? Question mark. My love? Nicholas, answer me. Defendant, sweetie, if Bella doesn't come back, I don't want anyone else, so I'll end it. My darling daughter, just know that daddy always worshipped you. Gypsy, in what? I don't understand, daddy. Defendant, I'm gone. Bye, my everything. I'll miss you all, and time to end it all. Gypsy, wait, daddy, wait. Please end us. You mean you won't be mine anymore? Defendant, what does my daughter want before I go to hell? Gypsy, I want you to stay with me. You said you was coming to get me. Defendant, Bella doesn't want me, so no one will have me but her, so I'll go to hell then, if I can't have her. Gypsy, she does want you. She needs you. You have had lots of girlfriends. You're handsome. Defendant, I'm done. Bye, my love. You say you need me, but you broke us off, so I cut myself off. If you don't stop me in time, because without you, I'm nothing. Gypsy, are you threatening to kill yourself? You can't. Defendant, why? Gypsy, because if you do, then I will as well. Defendant, then come back before I do it, because you know I always back up my words. Gypsy, please, please don't do it, my love, please, please. I want you, I do, but I'm bad for you. Stay with me, please. Defendant, I'm about to put the blade on my wrist and let it bleed if you don't come back within the next 3 minutes. Gypsy, I'm here, my love, I'm back. Look, I'm going on FB now for Facebook. Defendant, then I'll put the blade away for now. You better get online if you mean what you are saying. Gypsy, huge kiss for the one I missed.
And that's several hours later, right? The one left is 4:09 a.m., the other is 6:11 p.m.
Yes. Defendant, okay, dear. Heart emoji, kissing face emoji, heart emoji. Sweetie, I hope you are on soon because I'm missing you, heart emoji. Gypsy, darling, I'm missing you too. Just let me take a small nap. Okay, baby, XOXOX. Defendant, okay, sweetie, sweet dreams, my darling, heart emoji. Gypsy, darling, I'm on now, but read a message sent to on our joint account. It's your cousin. He wants to go fishing. Defendant, okay, sweetie, heart emoji. Tuesday, June 3rd. Gypsy, hi, darling, I'm sorry I fell asleep last night without telling you good night. Defendant, it's all right, hon. I've noticed, though, you're on a lot less often than you used to be, dear. Gypsy, I explained, hon. I'm on right now, baby. Defendant, okay, sweetie. Thursday, June 4th, 2015. Gypsy, sending hugs and kisses. Defendant, thanks, sweetie. Sweetie. Gypsy, good afternoon, darling. Defendant, good afternoon, sweetie. Gypsy, oh my God, I had so many sex dreams of you last night. Defendant, of all different kinds, dear? Gypsy, yes, darling. Defendant, okay, sweetie. Gypsy, warning, I'm in a very sexual mood. Defendant, honey, you could be in a top-notch sexual mood throughout our life together and it wouldn't bother me, heart emoji. Gypsy, good, darling, you're gonna need the energy. Defendant, why do you say that, baby? Gypsy, you pick it, hon. You pick it, hon. Gypsy, message for you. Defendant, babe, I'm already on, heart emoji. I had to restart my computer, dear. Gypsy, okay, darling. Friday, June 5th, 2015. Gypsy, darling, what color restraints do you want, black or pink? Defendant, dear, we're collecting them, but get black, sweetie, heart emoji. Gypsy, okay, darling. Saturday, June 6th, 2015. Gypsy, honey, I was wondering, say I wanted to have sex with a guy before leaving town, could I? It's just curious question, LOL, laugh out loud. Okay, so I know you're territorial, but I'm being tempted sexually. Darling, can we talk online, please? I'm guessing you're napping. I thought you wasn't getting my text, hon. Defendant, I didn't hear them though, dear, since my phone was on vibrate. Gypsy, he agreed to meet up. We are going to get coffee at this cupcake place Thursday, so that will close that. It's a public place, so all good, hon. Defendant, dear, still, I'm told I'll be around in the area of it to make sure he don't do anything, and you have to accept that. Gypsy, okay, darling. Gypsy, what time does our bus leave Thursday, hon? Defendant, 6:13 p.m. here. Or I may be off a few minutes, darling. Gypsy, okay, hon. I found the flogger. Defendant, that's good news. Gypsy, I miss you, hun, so much. Heart emoji, my heart is racing. I miss you, hun, so much. Heart emoji, my heart is racing. Defendant, why is your heart racing? Gypsy, because I can't wait to see you. Defendant, then we feel mutual, dear. Heart emoji. Gypsy, darling, you have an important message. Defendant, okay, baby. Sunday, June 7th, 2015. Gypsy, darling, I was caught on my phone, but made my mom think I was during her phone. So I have to lay low until Wednesday. Defendant, okay, dear, just try to text me when you can. Gypsy, okay, baby. We can talk on Skype, hon. Please. Defendant, okay, baby. Monday, June 8th, 2015. Defendant, sweetheart, just wanted to say that I'm missing you and also that I love, adore, and worship you, my everything. Gypsy, hi, darling. I'm so sorry I didn't say goodnight. I was made to sleep on the front porch with bugs. I peed in the bushes. It's been rough. Darling, I'm not even sure of the password, but if it's not one angel heart, it would be my name, Gypsy Rose, or one Gypsy Rose. The good thing is if you forgot it, at least have your confirmation number down and the card it was purchased with, hon. They can look it up. Defendant, okay, baby, I was hoping you would have said our sacred words, but thanks for your help, hon. Gypsy, YW, my love, or in love, YW is normally you're welcome. Gypsy, and I will text you, hon. Defendant, okay, dear. Gypsy, I love, adore, and worship you, my everything. Defendant, I love, adore, and worship you too, my everything times infinity, heart emoji. Gypsy, aw, heart emoji. Defendant, baby, I called the cab company and everything is going well, heart emoji. Gypsy, okay, sweetie, good. Smiley face emoji. I just ate, feel a lot better now, smiley face emoji. Defendant, okay, honey, heart emoji.
You mean good, honey?
Sorry, good, honey, heart emoji. Gypsy, I can't believe he was able to go. Your mom is okay with it? Defendant, dear, it doesn't matter if she is okay with it or not. I'm my own man, honey, heart emoji. Gypsy, I know, sweetie, if she knows you are escorting me back with you, it should be fine, hon. Defendant, she'll know within time, honey, heart emoji. Gypsy, okay, darling, you have lots of guts, heart emoji. Defendant, I told you already, dear, nothing is keeping us from being together, and I meant it when I said that, heart emoji. Gypsy, so do I, heart emoji. Okay, sweetie, text me soon to give me an update, heart emoji, kiss, heart emoji. Defendant, will do, my love, heart emoji, kissing face emoji, heart emoji. Dear, my stepdad is taking me to the bus station instead, heart emoji. Gypsy, okay, sweetie, heart emoji. Defendant, dear, look at your email. I need to know the reference number. Gypsy, 569-28685. Defendant, thanks, sweetheart, heart emoji. Gypsy, I got yo back on YW or you're welcome. Defendant, I got your back too, heart emoji, update. I'm at the bus station waiting for my time to get on the bus. Gypsy, is it all good? You got the tickets, hon? Defendant, dear, please go with the story I told my mom and stepdad. Yes, dear, heart emoji. Gypsy, please let me know what story. Defendant, I'll tell you in person, dear, because I'll be able to explain it better than, heart emoji. Gypsy, okay, darling, heart emoji. I'm not saying a word on Facebook to anyone. Defendant, that's good, darling, heart emoji. Gypsy, making up a song on the road to destiny, la la la. Defendant, interesting, dear, heart emoji. Gypsy, I have been on a bus from Hyannisport to Boston. I enjoyed it. Defendant, interesting, hun. Gypsy, is Big Bend and safe place to live, hun? Defendant, darling, you almost never hear of crime in Big Bend. Gypsy, that's wonderful. Defendant, yes, baby, heart emoji. Gypsy, you might think I'm spoiled by how my room looks, a closet full of name brand clothes. Defendant, I already know you're spoiled, hun, heart emoji. Gypsy, LOL, laugh out loud. Defendant, I knew that would make you laugh, dear, heart emoji. Gypsy, My heart is like boom, boom, boom. I don't think it knows how to be calm when you're going to be with me. Defendant, LOL, laugh out loud. That's a good thing, dear, heart emoji. Gypsy, darling, I'm going to go to the ER, get my tube changed. I'll be off my phone for a few hours. Defendant, okay, hon, be safe, heart emoji. Gypsy, you too, sweetheart. Defendant, all right, darling, heart emoji. Defendant, update, dear, I'm on bus to Chicago. Update, darling, I'm on my way to St. Louis.
About 4 hours later.
Yes. Update, dear, I'm at the bus station of Champaign, Illinois, hope to be in St. Louis soon. Gypsy, darling, I'm home. Defendant, that's good, dear, heart emoji, I'm glad you made it. Gypsy, it was a 6-hour wait in the ER. Defendant, wow. Gypsy, at least it's done, so we're good for a year. It can be done even by me, but I won't unless I have to. I missed you, baby. Defendant, I missed you too, sweetheart, heart emoji. Honey, sorry I didn't answer right away. I didn't feel it vibrate, dear, heart emoji. Dear, I guess you are either busy or not online anymore. I guess you aren't able to keep me company right now. I hope you are back soon because I'm already missing you, hon. Gypsy, hi, sweetie, I'm here, heart emoji. I just ate and took a bath, hon. Are you listening to your iPod, hon? Defendant, yay, I'm glad you are, heart emoji. Gypsy, LOL, laugh out loud. Defendant, okay. No, baby, just waiting for a text from you and paying attention to my surroundings, heart emoji. Gypsy, okay, sweetheart. Well, I was able to make peace with mom. Defendant, I knew you would. I believed in you that you could do it the full time, dear, heart emoji. Gypsy, I feel better, heart emoji. I just can't believe your life in Missouri and it's so overwhelming in a good way. Defendant, I hope in a good way, hon, heart emoji. Gypsy, yes, darling, in a great way, hon. I feel so excited. Defendant, I'm glad we feel mutually about the situation, darling. Heart emoji, smiley face emoji, heart emoji. Gypsy, tomorrow is the last night we sleep alone. Defendant, true, baby. However, I'm going to pay for nights separately, heart emoji. Gypsy, okay, hon. Defendant, so the night you come to the hotel is another separate night from tomorrow, dear, heart emoji. Darling, as you know, I'm trying to save as much money as I can, heart emoji. Gypsy, I know, baby, and you don't need to pay for me to sleep with you at the hotel. I will sleep with you. Defendant, I know, dear, that's what I plan on doing, heart emoji. Gypsy, good, hon. Defendant, dear, don't deny it. You even knew that was what I was planning on doing, heart emoji. Gypsy, well, yeah, I'm your gal. Bring me back to your hotel, wink, wink. Defendant, with pleasure, my dear. Heart emoji, winking face emoji, heart emoji. Guess you are busy, hon. I guess you aren't able to keep me company right now again. I hope you're back soon because I'm already missing you again, hon. Gypsy, bites, lip, squeaks. I'm back, hon. Defendant, LOL, laugh out loud. Nice way to come back, sweetie, heart emoji. Tuesday, June 9th, that should be 2015.
How about a break? I think they're ready. All right. Court again reminds you what you were told at the first recess of the court. Until you retire to consider your verdict, you must not discuss this case among yourselves or with others, or permit anyone to discuss it in your hearing. You should not form or express any opinion about the case until it is finally given to you to decide. Do not do any research or investigation on your own about any matter regarding this case or anyone involved with the trial. Do not communicate with others about the case by any means. Do not read, view, or listen to any newspaper, radio, electronic communication from the internet, or television report of the trial. Okay? So we will take about 15-minute recess here. We'll come back about 4 o'clock and finish up with the text messages. Okay? All rise.
Gypsy, hey, I can't help it. You're a sweetheart. Defendant, well then, would a sweetheart like a sweetie? Heart, winky face. Gypsy, I would, sweetie. Defendant, then ask daddy politely, sweetheart. Heart, winky face. Gypsy, may I have daddy's sweetness, please? Defendant, Yes, you may, dear, but warning, once you taste it, you won't want anything. You'll be so addicted to it, darling. Heart, winking face, heart, smiling face, anything else. Gypsy, I'm fine with being daddy's little addict, winking face. Defendant, that's daddy's girl, heart. Gypsy, LOL, laugh out loud. Defendant, why the laughter, hon? Gypsy, because I'm so happy. Defendant, that's a great reason, dear, heart. Gypsy, smiley face, heart. Defendant, LOL, laugh out loud, heart, smiling face, heart. Gypsy, sweetness, I'm gonna go take my meds. Defendant, okay, dear. Update, I'm in St. Louis, honey. Gypsy, yay. Defendant, yes, dear, heart. Update, sweetie, I am about to be on my way to Springfield, heart. Update, sweetheart, I'm on my way to Springfield now, heart, smiling face. Gypsy, my heart just leapt out now. Defendant, why is that, hon? Because I want to know why, dear. I hope it's a good reason, dear, or you'll worry me. Please tell me soon, honey. You don't need me worried about you. Gypsy, darling, it's because I'm so happy. You're near, heart. I'm perfectly wonderful. Defendant, okay, dear, I was scared for a moment there, but now I'm blissful, sweetie, heart, smiling face, heart. True, baby, I'm getting close, heart, smiling face. Gypsy, so am I, darling, heart. Defendant, great, because that's always how I want you, honey, heart, smiling face. Gypsy, try and get some sleep on the bus, hon. Defendant, nah, I'll just get it at the hotel, sweetie, heart. Gypsy, okay, darling, well, I'll check back later. I may sleep for a bit. I think you get to town at 5:15. Defendant, okay, baby, you know I'll keep you updated, heart. Gypsy, darling, I don't think the hotel takes check-ins until 11. Defendant, no, they do. I'll just have to pay a little bit more, hon. Pay a bit more, hon. Gypsy, okay, darling, good. BTW, or by the way, the taxi number is 417-862-5511. Defendant, yes, sweetie, heart. And I'm walking to the hotel. I've done it before, and it saves money, heart. But thanks for the number, hun, heart. Defendant, update, I'm in Springfield, baby, heart, smiling face, heart. Gypsy, yay. I was asleep, LOL, or laugh out loud. You're at the hotel, hun? Defendant, yes, sweetie, but it was extra expensive. Gypsy, that's fine, hun, as long as you're safe. Defendant, I'm safe, hun, but I may barely make it to you tomorrow. I'm under $200. Gypsy, you'll make it. How much is a night tomorrow, hun? You're not far from me, maybe 4 miles. Defendant, well, I had to pay $140 for one night because I was early here. Gypsy, unless you want to do it tonight, like the late part of the night? Question mark. It would have to be. It's the only way to get you money and everything go like we planned. Defendant, 50 of the dollars I should get back though because it's a safety deposit, hun. It all matters on the soonest you want to see me, hun. Gypsy, tonight, hun, your mom is like pissed and worried. Call her. She messaged me to get you to call her now. Defendant, I already talked to her, dear. Everything is fine. You need to answer my question, though, honey, heart. Gypsy, I will text you. We are doing this tonight, hun. It won't be until later, like in the AM times, so get your rest, darling. Defendant, baby, should I still get the room tomorrow? Gypsy, well, we would have more money, so yes, hun, heart. Defendant, what about sneaking you in, dear? Gypsy, I will, hun. I am not forbidden from your room. Defendant, you mean we will, dear, heart. Baby, you won't be, heart. Gypsy, yes, we will, hun. Did you bring your computer, hun? If you look up where you're at in my house, we are close. Defendant, honey, you know I always bring my computer, heart. Gypsy, okay, good, hun. I just told your mom you're perfectly fine. Defendant, that's good, dear, heart. Gypsy, hun, does he require just the groves and knife? Defendant, hun, that side of me expects duct tape too to muffle her. Gypsy, okay, baby, we have that. I'll pre-cut it. Defendant, that's good, dear. However, he expects you to give him the full roll. Gypsy, I will. We only have black bondage tape and Minnie Mouse duct tape. Defendant, he said the Minnie Mouse duct tape, hun. Gypsy, okay, hun. Defendant, dear, I should ask you this before he has to. Is your mom a light or deep sleeper? Gypsy, light, hun. Defendant, okay, dear. Now he's excited. Gypsy, she sleeps on her tummy, like I said, but light sleeper, hun. The shit's gonna go down tonight, Ruby said. Defendant, what does she mean by that, dear? Please let me know as soon as you can, hun. Gypsy, it means it all happens tonight. Defendant, how does Ruby feel about it, hun? Gypsy, she keeps me numb in order to cope and survive, hun. Keeping me focused. Defendant, okay, dear, I guess she seems to be learning how to deal with him slowly then, Art. Gypsy, for motivation's sake, bring your A game, hun. This is life with me on the line. Yes, hun, each part is a slow lover and learner, maybe not Candy. Defendant, babe, it's my evil side doing it. He won't mess up because he enjoys killing. Why you say that about Candy, dear? Gypsy, she loves fast, LOL, or laugh out loud. Defendant, so she'll attach onto him instantly, dear? Yes, I mean my dom side, dear, heart. Gypsy, exactly, hun. Defendant, okay, baby, as long as it's only to him, and she would use other guys, or he will see to put her in her place quickly, dear, Art. Gypsy, that's right, hun, Art. Defendant, good, dear, Art. Baby, please make sure to read that last message and answer it, please, Art. Gypsy, hi, sweetie, just checking on you. Defendant, hey, dear, I miss you too, Art. Guess you didn't have time to answer me, hun. This night is going by slow. Gypsy, aw, I'm preparing. Defendant, I see. TTYL, talk to you later, I guess, hun. I say this because you're obviously busy. Gypsy, LOL, laugh out loud, okay, baby. Defendant, why the laughter? I don't get it. Defendant, no explanation, I see. Today is really falling apart. Wow. Obviously, you are not as lonely without me as I am without you because you are not truly communicating with me, and you have no clue how painful it is to me, or you wouldn't be laughing at me, sad face. Gypsy, darling, I'm getting naked in the tub. I was only excited. I'm not laughing at you. I'm just happy. I'm in the tub, hun. Defendant, sorry, dear. I guess I'm just missing you too much. It's overwhelming me, Art. Gypsy, I left the gloves outside the front door and the screen door is squeaky, so try to open it just enough to get in and close it gentle. I miss you too soon, sweetheart. I'll hand him the knife and duct tape inside, darling. It's pre-cut and ready. Does your mom know about me going back with you, hun? Defendant, dear, you're telling all this to my evil side since he is the one agreed to do it. Dear, I was open to her about that a long time ago, and she is letting me make life decisions by myself with you, hun. She trusts me. She just doesn't know the full, dear, heart. Full plan. Full plan, dear. Does her floor squeak, hun? Yes, he wanted me to ask you. Gypsy, no, hun, it's all carpet. Tell him my private parts are shaved. Defendant, okay, baby, he is excited to do this. What about the rest of your bottom half? Is what he had me ask you. Gypsy, I will do my legs as soon as he knocks, hun. Defendant, okay, baby, don't be alarmed if he speaks, because yes, it sounds evil, hun. Gypsy, okay, darling. I'm gonna go eat, hun. Defendant, that's daddy's good girl, heart, smiley face. Gypsy, I'm doing my nails too, winking face. Defendant, well, dear, he did say he expects you to look like his woman should, so that is a good idea, darling, heart. Red fingernail polish, hun? Dear, to please him, I suggest you wear red lipstick too, hun, heart. Just trying to help you out, baby, heart. Gypsy, I don't have any, hun. I'm painting a dark pink, hun. It goes with my pink boots. Defendant, lip gloss, hun, possibly pink if you want him to be a magnet to you, heart. Well, pink makes him a magnet to you, dear heart. Gypsy, I have pink lip gloss, hun. Defendant, if you want him to be a magnet to you, then wear it, dear heart. Gypsy, okay, hun. Defendant, so will you, hun, or how do you wish to present yourself to him? Answer that question when you get the chance to, dear, as long as you answer it, heart. Hun, you still haven't answered that question. I'm still waiting. Gypsy, I'll just be in my nightgown with painted pink nails and lip gloss. Defendant, okay, dear, but when he gets you from the bathroom, I suggest you are naked when he sees you after the deed. Gypsy, okay, darling. I won't say goodnight online. I want to say it in person, hun. Defendant, that's understandable, darling, along with our first real goodnight kiss, sweetie, heart. Gypsy, exactly, daddy. Defendant, aw, that never gets old when you call me daddy, sweetie, heart. Gypsy, smiley face, you should get some sleep, hun. Mom goes to bed at like 4 a.m. Defendant, honey, I got too much sleep already. Gypsy, okay, darling, heart. I'll wear you out, winking face. Defendant, hun, don't forget you got to deal with my evil side first before we have our fun. So he may wear you out because if you forgot, he is the most sexual part of me, heart. Please don't forget that, dear. Then I wear you out even more, honey, heart. Gypsy, okay, darling, I understand. Defendant, I'm glad you do, baby. I'll enjoy just being able to touch your silky skin, heart. Gypsy, I can't wait to be with you too, darling, but you know, if you want to wait for sex, we have all day tomorrow, just so you know. You know, after my deal. Defendant, honey, our nicknames as a couple is Mr. and Mrs. Sex. So what do you think I'm thinking, dear? Gypsy, I know what you're thinking, hon. I have me as much as you can. Defendant, darling, see, we're true to our nicknames as a couple, honey, heart. Because I know you won't want it any other way, honey, heart. Right, dear? Winky face? I guess you're not there, hon. Hope you're back soon. Gypsy, right, darling, but can we take our time, hon? Defendant, we will be able to at the hotel, sweetheart, heart. Gypsy, okay, good, sweetheart, heart. I hope I look pretty. Defendant, honey, you'll always look appealing to me, heart. Gypsy, I hope so, hon. I'm shaking, I am nervous. I guess it's the if it all goes okay. Defendant, baby, it will, and you better than not just romantic wife of mine, but also my twin flame female daughter's soulmate that you were meant to be, honey, heart, smiley face. Gypsy, I am daddy, just as a backup. If it doesn't go right, run out of the house as fast as you can, hun. Defendant, baby, there is no other option. He is going to finish her no matter what. That is how he is. Gypsy, okay, darling, he is brave. I respect and admire that. Smiley face. Okay, darling, he is brave. I respect and admire that. How's the bed? Is it soft, hun? Defendant, honey, you forgot, though, he is ruthless, and his hatred of her will force her to die, hun. You'll enjoy it, baby, heart. Gypsy, what will you be wearing, hun? Defendant, something that will terrify her, hun. It's all black, and my evil side picked the full outfit, darling. Gypsy. Okay, darling, I just have to remember it's still you. Defendant. Yes, just the darkness in me, dear. Just like Ruby is the darkness in you, honey, heart. Gypsy. But after we comfort each other. Defendant. After we do that, sweetheart, I'll hold you like the baby girl of mine that you are, heart. Gypsy. And we will be happy soon after this night. We never bring it up. Defendant. Baby, we wouldn't except for the part about us meeting, honey, heart. Gypsy. Right, hun. Defendant. I knew we were clicking on the right, honey, heart. Right tone. Right tone, honey. I'm not sure what that character is supposed to be. Defendant, heart. Sorry for confusing you, dear, but I hope you know what I meant, heart. Hopefully you answer soon, dear. Wednesday, June 10th, that should be 2015.
That was the same with the last one, the Tuesday, right? Should be 2015.
Yeah. Gypsy. I know what you mean, hun. It's getting close to time. She took her sleep aid pill. Defendant. Okay, baby, I'm trying to calculate the money for the ride there. Gypsy. And once you're inside the house, we stay silent, not even a whisper, until after I open the bathroom door. Okay, sir? Okay, hun? Probably $10? Defendant. Dear, never underestimate his will to kill, and also save your address so I make sure I have the right one, heart. Gypsy. I just want to say this, thank you. You're my hero, heart, and I will never leave you. I'm staying with you for eternity. 2103 West Volunteer Way, Springfield, Missouri, 65803. Defendant. Okay, baby, but he hasn't said anything yet, dear. Thank you, sweetheart, heart. Gypsy. My house has the ramp, and the front porch ramp is painted white. Defendant. Okay, dear. Gypsy. YW, you're welcome, my twin flame soulmate, heart. I have said my I love you to her. I'm at peace. Defendant. I'm proud of you, sweetie, and I'm glad I could help. Heart, smiley face. Gypsy. Will you need a anxiety med to calm you after, hun? You're the most important person to me, sweetie. You are like me. Fight for what you want and need. Defendant. Dear, I don't believe in meds in me. I seem to be immune to them, but you just do what I taught you, and I'll calm down if it is me. But just listen and obey my evil side, and you'll calm him down within time, heart. To them. Gypsy. I hope he loves me too, not just Ruby. I hope he loves me too, not just Ruby. I got pain med for my back, and I exercise my legs, so I'm a bit weak walking, but I'll build strength. Defendant. No, you mean to say you're like daddy. It could be part of why you're a daddy's good girl, but you're more like daddy than you may realize, dear heart. Gypsy. I'm not used to my weight of walking. Gravity is new, LOL, laugh out loud. Defendant. I believe in you, honey, as I always have, so I know someday you'll walk completely normal, heart. Gypsy. I just realized the next New Year's I'll be able to kiss you, smiley face. I never had a New Year's kiss. I need to practice kissing. We are like two fish going for one hook. She's drifting off to sleep. Is there anything you need to know, hun? Defendant. And as for him loving you, my evil side does. However, you must obey him without question unless you don't know what to do. Otherwise, obey him without question, dear. And someday he'll worship you too, heart. Baby, we're natural at kissing. We just need time to prove it, heart. Gypsy. Will he allow me to wet your penis before he takes me, hun? I don't know if he's gonna do anal or vag. I was hoping to do anal with you first. Defendant. Not that I can think of, dear, except you're letting him in the front, darling. Gypsy. Because at the hotel we can go slow. Oh, and you may not need to put on the gloves because we will sink it so it's never found. And yes, front. Defendant. Dear, when he rapes, he takes all parts of the body, so he'll most likely do anal to you, hon. He is still going to put the gloves on, dear. Gypsy, will he at least put saliva so I don't get traumatized, hon? Defendant, remember to take my words to heart, dear. Just listen and obey him without question, and he won't traumatize you. But if you aren't a good girl, he will then do it. It just depends on how well you listen to him, dear heart. Gypsy, I'll listen to him, darling. It's go time. Are you ready? No matter what, I'm yours forevermore. Defendant, and thanks for answer the question, hun. So should I call the cab, dear? Gypsy, I love, adore, and worship you, my everything. Yes, darling, call the cab. Defendant, I understand, dear, as I am the same heart. I love, adore, and worship you too, my everything times infinity. Heart, smiley face, heart. Defendant, okay, baby, heart. See you soon, dear, heart. Gypsy, BTW, by the way, the gloves are blue, and how long must I hold my ears, hun? Defendant, 5 at the most, dear, and the next text will be for him, heart. Gypsy, okay, darling, I'll talk to you when this is all done. Defendant, yes, hun, heart. Gypsy, sir, will you text me once you're at the door with gloves on? She's sleeping very light. Defendant, I'm here and you get your ass to the bathroom. You open the door.
What time is that?
2:07 a.m. Gypsy, yes, sir, I'm going now, sir. Breeze once.
No further questions.
Me, question?
Yes, Your Honor. And going through some of those text messages, I guess at one point Nick says, I'm safe, hon, but I barely make it to you tomorrow. I'm under $200.
Okay.
Correct?
Yes,
Okay. From what you remember.
yes,
But suffice to say, there was concern about not having enough money.
it appears so.
And Gypsy moved the date up one day to make sure they had enough money, correct?
I reject the exhibit speaks for itself.
Your Honor, I'll withdraw that question. Officer Costello, you testified earlier that you mark what's important and present it to the investigators, correct?
Try to, yes.
Okay, so you read through things and you kind of analyze it as you're going along.
It depends on what it is.
Okay. Did you analyze this type of stuff in this case?
Yes, but there's a difference between going through every little bitty thing and it generally. So like a lot of times I will give, like if there's a long conversation, I'll let the investigator read the conversation. I'll provide that to them to go through, even though I pull the conversation off of one of the devices.
Okay. So you do more than just pull the conversations off the devices. You read through them, figure out what the detectives need to look at.
Sometimes, not every time.
Okay.
There's a lot of things that I deal with that ends up having thousands of messages involving people that I don't know who they are. So it's easier to have the investigator go through all of that than for me to.
Okay. But in this case, you went through quite a bit of it.
I took the pictures of the messages. I try and let them determine what messages are important. Obviously, with the Skype chats, those are messages between the two of them. That's obviously important. But some other things that take an extensive period of time to go through, I will let them do that.
Okay. Now, there were other conversations between Nick and Gypsy going on outside of what was in these text messages, correct?
Yes.
Could have been a Facebook conversation going on.
I don't have any of the Facebook conversations on the evidence that I analyzed.
Okay, there could have been a Google conversation going on somewhere.
Yeah, anything that's normally done in a web browser normally does not save to the computer.
Okay, so there could have been several different conversations between Nick and Gypsy going on at the same time in different formats.
Correct.
So we're only getting a glimpse of what their conversation was over those handful of weeks.
These are the conversations that I was able to come up with. How many others that there are, I don't know.
So that's why we don't have much context of what they're talking about, correct?
The context is what you saw.
Okay. And that's why it's a little bit confusing sometimes what they're talking about.
Yeah, I will let you be the judge on that.
Okay. There was a point where Nick's mom, I guess, contacted Gypsy. She was worried about Nick, presumably, correct?
There were messages indicating that.
Okay, so they were talking about Nick's mother, not Gypsy's mother, from what you could gather.
I believe so.
And how many phones have you gone through and analyzed before?
Like in my career,
Yes,
hundreds,
hundreds, okay. Hundreds of computers as well?
probably, yeah.
Would you say that the verbiage, the text, what you read is similar to what would be found in a 13 or 14-year-old boy or girl's phone?
Object speculation relevance.
Well, if you've analyzed a 13-year-old boy or girl's phone, I'll lie to answer if you think you can.
I don't pay attention to that kind of context in the conversations.
Thank you, sir.
Just one question is, in your experience, would it be normal for 13 and 14-year-olds to talk about dominant submissive relationships in their texts?
Not normally.
Mr. Meaden?
No.
Thank you. Members with Mr. McSween?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, officer. Do you have an additional witness?
We have one short witness.
All right.
You're on the state called Willie Carroll.
All right.
Of course. May I have Mr. Carroll come up?
Yeah. Raise your hand. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in the cause now pending before the court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Have a seat.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Can you please state your name?
Willie Carroll.
Mr. Carroll, how are you currently employed?
I am currently a network engineer with the Greene County IT department.
What does a network engineer do?
The infrastructure of the network. We installed this IP or this AP in here not too long ago, so.
I don't know what an AP is.
Your wireless access.
Oh, and how long have you had your current job?
I've been doing that since the end of July of this year.
What did you do before that?
I was a corporal with the Greene County Sheriff's Office,
And how long were you with the Greene County Sheriff's Office?
19 and a half years.
What were your duties as a corporal?
For the last 10 of that, it was the custodian of records for the inmate phone system, which included the inmate tablets and the video visits and everything that went with the tablets.
And when you began as custodian of records, was the only way inmates could communicate just over phone?
Yes, sir.
And then here in more recent years, has that expanded the different ways that they can communicate?
Yes, sir.
In addition to phone, what are the other ways that an inmate can communicate?
They can communicate through the tablet, and through the tablet, they can either do essentially text messages or video visits.
And what's the name of the system that allows those video visits?
The system we currently use is called Telmate, Telmate.
And I know you've been, in your new job, is that the same system that was in effect back when you were with the Greene County Jail?
Yes, sir.
And when somebody has a video visit, an inmate does, is that visit stored somewhere?
Yes, sir.
How does that work?
Much like how the phone calls are stored, Telmate keeps them in a couple different areas, and then we're able to go pull them off to be able to review them.
And so if you're given the name of a specific individual, how would you search to see if he or she has made or had any video conversations?
With that one, we'd go ahead and log into the Telmate system and search by the individual's name that you gave us, or whoever gave us, the investigators.
And does the inmate use the tablet for video visits?
Yes, sir.
Is there any information that needs to be put in for that individual to be able to have the video visit?
For the visit to be scheduled, the inmate has to enter in their PIN number, basically kind of like an ATM card. They have their own individual PINs. They have to enter that in. And then whenever the visit occurs, they enter that in to get it scheduled or accept the visit. And then whenever the visit occurs, they have to do the same thing, accept the visit.
Then if you're given a task to obtain a video visit, can you then put it into a format that others can view it?
Yes, sir.
How do you do that?
It's fairly automated. You log in and then you kind of like whenever you download a video or a song from the internet, you just click download and it does it automatically and it puts it into either a WAV file or an MP3 or 4. I don't remember which one it was. It was a WAV file.
And then you put that on a disc?
Yes, sir.
Now, have you, back when you were with the jail, did you ever access video conversations for an inmate named Nicholas Godejohn?
Yes, sir.
And specifically, did you obtain a video conversation or video visit that Mr. Godejohn had on January 9th of 2018?
Yes, sir.
And once you obtained that visit, did you put it onto a disc in the manner that you described?
Yes, sir.
At the time that you accessed that video visit and put it on a disc, was that Hellmate system working properly?
Yes, sir.
No indication that it wasn't working properly? Carol, I'm going to show you what I've marked as States Exhibit 180. Do you recognize that?
Yes, sir. That would be a copy of the video visit that you played for me, and I put my initials on it.
And you've seen the visit that is on States Exhibit 180?
Yes, sir.
And does it appear to be an interview with a journalist?
Yes, sir.
Due to where that journalist is located, is there somewhat of a delay between question and answer?
There is.
And is that common with that system depending on where the other person is?
Yes, and their internet connections and that type of good stuff.
And is the portion of the conversation that's on States Exhibit 180 fair and accurate to the disc that you made?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, the state would seek to admit States Exhibit 180
I'll admit another objection previously stated.
and may it be published.
Yes, I'm gonna stand down there so I can see it the way the TV screen.
You know, pictures.
No, I've never worked that shirt.
You inside the house. Like, did Gypsy open the door to you and like let you in? Like, she was obviously.
Oh yeah, she was deeply involved with it. I mean, just like it says in his plea statements, like I said, right, when I was talking to them, it says just pretty much word for word what I told them. She told me before I ended up getting there, and I texted them, there was latex gloves that'd be on the porch. She did say that. Right on the text, it's clear as day, you can actually see it. And then, well, I ended up finding them when I got there, and I let her know that I was at the door. She opened the door, and she made sure I had the gloves on before she gave me the weapon, and she made sure that she wouldn't let me open the door. She made sure I had those gloves on before either of those doors opened. So that's the reason why you ain't gonna see any fingerprints on any of that stuff. And then from that point on, well, my darker part of me took over, and because she knew right away that I admitted straight out to the whole thing that I was not gonna get involved with this, no matter how much she tried to push it. It was gonna have to be a darker side of me of some form that I have never had the opportunity to explore. So I did not know what it was capable of until that dark night. Once that night came, I knew fully well what it was capable of. And at that point, there was no time going back because from the first step I walked into the house, I knew there was no coming back. There was two thoughts that came in my mind. One was a benevolent thought, and the other one was a malevolent thought. It was almost like having a devil on one shoulder and a angel on the other. Basically, what happened was I had one thought in my mind out of nowhere appear, and it just appeared. I didn't know. It was almost like, I guess you could call it God, is what everyone likes to call it. Him talking to you, or an angel talking to you through him, maybe. Basically saying, take her and run. That was the benevolent thought. Take her and run. As if it was the kind of feeling that was basically trying to influence on me, as if I was somehow going to get away with it if I ran away with her. As if somehow we were able to keep her mom at bay better than she was able to in the past when she ran away. However, the other thought came in my mind was because it saw as basically because the darker part of me was also in love with the darker part of her. And because of it, the thought was, excuse my French, but it basically said, this bitch is dead. Not letting her be between me and her, this bitch is dead, basically is what the thought was. And unfortunately, I ended up listening to my darker side because I wanted to be with her, and I remember what she said, and I wanted to believe what she was saying, and unfortunately, I should have listened to my other part of me. Ironic, because I was trying to influence her to go with, but she never went with it. She never wanted to run away, so I couldn't get back to work. But anyways, as the whole thing happened, she ended up, as I was walking through the hallway that led to her room, her mom's room, and so forth, she ended up in the bathroom. She locked it, and I waited at least a minute and thought about if I really wanted to do it. And before I was to do it, allegedly, I was willing to do it. The next thing I know, I ended up going right into it and thought there was no going back because I had myself on my word, and I was not one to break my word to really anyone at all. If I had one to keep at the time, if it was worth keeping, I was going to keep it. And that's what led me
Yeah,
to
the video's going to cut off in a
I
minute.
loved her so
But
deeply that
remember whatever you just did to that thing, and should we try it tomorrow?
Oh.
Bye.
Okay. Yep. All right. Sounds good.
Your Honor, I don't have any further questions.
Thank you. Was it and this witness speaks?
Oh, yeah, state, yes. Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Do you have any additional evidence?
Your Honor, at this time, the state rests.
Ladies and gentlemen, the state has rested their presentation of this matter at this time. So we're going to adjourn for the evening. We'll return tomorrow at 9:15 downstairs, like we always do. We're going to start up close to 9:30. At tonight's recess, I want to again remind you of what you were told at the first recess of the court. Until you retire to consider your verdict, you must.
Well, hello there again. It is me. Hello, hello. Oh, I can see the thing moving now. So that is where I'm going to leave it today. Let me see what happens. Is it the big one? Yeah. It's the big one. It's the big one. It's the D-Gyp tomorrow. Gypsy. Doing her testifying. Yeah, the defence doesn't seem to have a very big outreach, do they? But excuse the child in the background. But yeah, we will come back tomorrow. I'm going to make you wait for the gypsy side of it. Gonna make you wait because I know that you just loves the wait. So with that, guys, got 2.5 hours we got through today. Let me know. I mean, personally, I think the defence put on a real bad show. And they have, and when I say that, they haven't contested anything. They haven't really fought for him. Whereas in other cases, I've seen the defence be ruthless, and they're not in this case. I'll be back tomorrow. So yeah, we'll do the D-Gyp tomorrow. But yeah, so we'll be back tomorrow for Gypsy's testimony, the big one. And yeah, we hardly knew the defence was there, did we? Buggers, didn't they? But we'll see. You know, obviously they didn't do a very good job, did they? Because I think one of the appeals was ineffective counsel, and I can see why that they would want to shoot for ineffective counsel, because I want to shoot for ineffective counsel. So with that, guys, I will be back tomorrow. Be here or be square. Be there or be square. And make sure you have a good afternoon, evening, wherever you are. And tonight we will be discussing Liam Payne on my TikTok at about 9 o'clock. I'm going to have a little tiki-toki battle with Nick at 9. I'm going to have a tiki-toki battle with Nick at 9. And then at 9:30, we'll be discussing Liam Payne. So I will see you guys very soon. Night, everyone. Bye.